I've kind of built over time in my interest just in helping people become really successful. I work with leaders closely. I work with sort of young managers, young talent, emerging leaders as we call them, all the way up to kind of general managers in the companies that I've been at. And I want to say that I am on your side. So that's kind of this point of view today is all about you understanding that I represent you. I represent where you come from. I represent your position in the organization. But the unique view that I probably have is that I sit with the very senior leaders in your organization in forums like what we call a talent review, for example, where often people like you are being discussed. And I often see and observe over many years kind of what actually makes a leader recognize someone, what makes a leader think about a particular talent in his organization. And those are some of the things that I want to share with you today that will hopefully help you differentiate yourself. You'll enjoy the next couple of slides. So there's three things really I want to do with you here today. The first one is I'm going to build a case. I'm going to assume that none of you will believe me. I'm going to assume that none of you will be easily convinced. So I want to start off with a couple of stories, a couple of sort of pictures I want to share with you, which will hopefully build a case around why should you consider thinking a bit differently about yourself and your positioning. I'm going to then talk to you about standing out, around being remarkable, and what does that really look like. Some of you might have preconceived notions. I mean, all of the organizations have their different frameworks, they have their HR competency models, all of that, but I just want to again bring a bit of a radical approach. So I like your comment when you started off around looking at the different speakers and picking up frameworks that you think will really suit you and your style. So absolutely, the whole message here is that for you to be authentic to your style. So again, kind of what I have to share with you, what the others will have to share with you is something that you can look at, but of course what you need to see through is around what is your style and what can be aligned to the person that you are. So authenticity is definitely the key. And of all the leaders that you probably worked with, the ones that truly stand out, and many of you mentioned a few leaders, are the ones that were truly authentic to their personal value system. So that's really important. And then finally, I've got a framework which I can share with you as well, which I use as a coaching model with leaders and managers across the organization. So that's something hopefully that can help you as well. So that's kind of my sketch and outline for what's to come. All right. So I'm going to start off with this little image, and we picked about, what if you had a message? If you had a message, and all this rush and all this busyness and all this bombarding of information and media, if you have a message within your organization that you want to reach out, if you have a message you want to take outside your organization, how do you truly stand out? How do you break through the noise? How do you cut through the noise and actually be noticed as standing out? And the big thing that I'm finding more and more is that it's no longer good to be good at a lot of things. What's really important is to be remarkable, to be outstanding, to be extraordinary at the one big thing. Have a look at this kind of advertisement of the Milwaukee Police Department. Big thing. What do you really do for you as a community? Interesting, the concept of brands and the concept of attracting attention has percolated to countries as well. Countries want to measure, want to be pegged against other countries, against things like natural resources that they have, natural beauty that they have, if it's tourism, economic might, whatever it might be. They want their collective assets to be kind of represented in a brand. And this is quite interesting to see that actually there are surveys like this that actually measure countries on their effectiveness of standing out. I didn't know about this. So what I want you to do is kind of in the organization context, I want you to think about the payoffs that the investment in corporate brands play off, and how can that actually work in your advantage. So in the corporate context, the investment that organizations do in brands is to really do the following things. You want to get customer attention, you want people to see you want people to notice you, you want repeat buys, you want people to come by and purchase more and more, increase the revenue per customer, you want to charge a premium eventually when you build a stronger brand, so you're paying almost double the price of something equally kind of non-branded product. You create loyalty and you create followership. In terms of the personal context, in terms of the things that where you can jump in, is how can this actually help you? How can this focus actually help you? is these are some of the things. The first is presence, credibility. So this is where your reputation walks ahead of you. Is that right? There are some great speakers coming up over the next 2 days. All of you pretty much know who they are. Their reputation is ahead of them, while my reputation was kind of behind me. So I had to build credibility in the room. But what great brands do is they start building that presence and the credibility that even without their presence, your brand actually lives there. So think about yourself in the organization context again. There's greater perception value. They start believing that you are much greater, you can do bigger things because they have a certain perception about you. You start building trust in the organization with the senior leaders. You start building a level of confidence. They start confiding in you. There's a different level of engagement that they have with you. They often make time for you. That's as well. And you become the go-to guy. So when there often is a challenge, an opportunity, these leaders are the ones that think of you or as the person to go to. And I always say new opportunities find you as well. Sounds good? Yeah. We end up in the positions and the roles that we're in the organization. A good way to look at it is to say, while you're here, what is the legacy you want to leave behind? What is the one big thing that you want to do while you're here? It can be while you're here in the organization. It can be while you're here in this role, because maybe you want to change roles in a couple of years. The point is, every incremental success that you create for yourself will have a multiplier effect in the future for you. So in the organization, often leaders kind of often say, you know, if you haven't harvested, if you want to harvest in the future, you got to plan for it. The planning for it happens way in advance in your career. So often when I talk to young leaders, you know, like we employ graduates, we have a lot of young leaders who aspire, what could I potentially do in the business? And more than asking, you actually know where you want to be. I think if you know the organization really well, you can decide first where you think you want to be, and then go to the leaders in those positions and have a discussion around career pathing.